Now, I know we've already done loads of pies and tarts on this channel so far, but I really couldn't resist this one. This one's a right little peachy devil. Check this one out. Peach almond tart is an absolute mind blower, but pretty damn simple as well. Followed by that almond sponge, well, technically Frangipane. And then finished off with supple, juicy peaches over the top. It just doesn't get any better than this. And just before I swing you through the video, feel free to hit the subscribe button and also hit that bell notification as well to let you know when the videos are ready. So we're pretty much ready. Let's do this. And of course, not forgetting to preheat your oven to 180 Celsius or 350 Fahrenheit. We're going to crack on with the peach jam and make sure you've got some nice, ripe, plump peaches. And you can find that out by just giving it a little cheeky squeeze. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. And if you're asking how much peaches we got here, we got 450 grams or 1 pound. So grab yourself a sharp knife and you pretty much just want to cut all the way around, cutting around that peach and then giving that peach a little twist so you can take out the nut. And if you're having issues getting the pit out, just grab yourself a vegetable knife and then just carefully cut around it. And all you pretty much want to do is cut this into a rough chop, turning it, cutting it, just roughly, nothing too specific. And repeating the same with the rest. So pop your peach chunks into a medium-sized pan, then add 200 grams or 1 cup of caster sugar or fine granulated sugar, followed by a teaspoon of lemon juice. Make sure you catch those tips. And then place on the stove onto a medium heat, and you pretty much want to cook this down for about 20 to 30 minutes until it's nice and jammy. And just giving it a stir every now and again just to make sure it doesn't catch. So while those peaches are cooking down, it's time to make that sweet pastry. So we're going to need 75 grams or 1/3 of a cup of unsalted cubed butter. We're also going to need 150 grams or 1 cup and 1/5 of a cup of all-purpose flour or plain flour, which is sieved. Also, we're going to need 50 grams or half a cup of icing sugar or powdered sugar, a little cheeky pinch of salt as well. And then you want to get your hands in there, breaking down that butter, incorporating it into the flour and the sugar. So once that butter has incorporated into the flour and the sugar, you want to add 1 egg yolk and also 2 tablespoons of milk as well. And then you just want to bind that all together. And also, if it doesn't bind, just add a little touch more milk if needed. And once bound together, you can pretty much roll this if your kitchen is nice and cool. If it's the summertime and pretty hot, I would rest it in cling film in the fridge for about 15 to 20 minutes. But before we start rolling that sweet pastry, we need to butter and flour our mold. And if you're wondering what size ring mold, it's a 22 centimeter or 8.6 inches in diameter. So just give it a quick light buttering all over from the sides to the bottom, and then just lightly dust with flour without getting it everywhere. And then just give it an excess tap. And you should have a nicely lined tin. Also, don't worry about the mess on the table because that will be perfect for our pastry to roll. So flour up your rolling pin, and then you just want to gently and carefully roll out the pastry to the size of the pastry tin. And if you need another dusting of flour, don't be shy. And then grabbing the rolling pin with the end of the pastry and just carefully wrap up that pastry around the rolling pin. And then holding the inside of the wheel, not the handles, so it doesn't spin off. Carefully drop the pastry over the top of the tin, and then pick up the sides of the pastry and just make sure you get in all those little air pockets without ripping the pastry. And once it's nice and tight in the mold, roll the rolling pin over the top just to cut it. And with the excess, you can always keep this or make some more little tiny tarts if you want to. Now, depending on which method you want to do to hold down this pastry, stop it from rising in the oven, you can go with the fork and egg wash method. You can go for the old traditional with the bacon beans, or you can even go for the foil. We're going to go for the fork and egg wash for today. And that's just pretty much going to consist of a few little pokes of holes in the middle of the tart, just to stop it from rising. And you can also poke a few just around the edge, not going too crazy with it. And then you want to stick this bad boy in the freezer for about 5 minutes just to firm up the pastry before it goes in the oven. So once it's nice and chilled, pop it onto a tray and straight into the oven for about 10 minutes. So once the pastry is cooked with no colour, time to egg wash it over. And don't be shy with the egg wash, you want to make sure you fill all those holes. And also not forgetting the sides as well where you've poked the holes, just to make sure they're all filled and covered. And once it's glazed, it needs to go back in the oven for a further 5 minutes. And after those 5 minutes, the tart should be perfectly sealed with not too much colour on the tart, as it needs to go back in the oven later on. And then coming back to our jam. So the jam should be looking something like this, and we left that on the heat for a little longer, for 30 minutes, about 40 minutes, and we turn the heat down to a low until it's nice and jammy. So once the jam is off the heat, you want to cool it down pretty quick. And to do that, you need to increase the work surface area. So grab yourself a clean tray and then just carefully pop that down and spread it out over the tray. This will cool down so much quicker than it being stuck together. So now it's time to make that Frangipane mix, and also don't forget to take out your butter. Here we go again. So once you've finally softened up your butter, you want 200 grams or 7 ounces, and pop that straight into your KitchenAid bowl. And then give that a little beat on a low speed. Once that's started to mix up, add 200 grams or 1 cup of caster sugar or fine granulated sugar, and just pick up the speed just slightly onto a medium speed. And as we're using unsalted butter, just add a little pinch of salt as well in there. Next, you're going to need 2 eggs, add in 1 at a time. And don't worry, if it's looking something like this, a little bit like, well, scrambled eggs, right? You're on the right track. So next you want 200 grams or 2 cups of almond flour, straight in. And then put that back onto a medium-low speed. Also, in addition, you're going to need 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract and also 1 teaspoon of almond emulsion. And the Frangipane should be looking something like this. Nice, smooth, ready to go. So take it off the KitchenAid and set it aside. And then finally, we want 1 pound or 453 grams of soft, tender, juicy peaches. Go on, give them a squeeze, you know you want to. Okay, I think that's enough for squeezing chef's peaches. So grab your knife and cut these in half, and then give them a little cheeky squeeze. And then make sure you remove the pit. And once they're cut in half, keep one to the side, as we'll use that for the middle, and then just cut these straight in half. So before we assemble, make sure your oven is on 180 Celsius or 350 Fahrenheit. So grab in some of that glorious peach jam. Oh my goodness me, look at that little devil right there. And just spread a nice little thin layer over the bottom. And if you've got any spare, you can always use that for some cheeky toast in the morning. And then next, grab your Frangipane mix, and then just carefully layer some over the top. And then spread in this nice and evenly with a crank spatula, or whatever you got at hand. And once it's nice and smooth, it's time to start adding some of the peaches. Making your way all the way around the tart. And this looks pretty big, but the Frangipane will rise. So once your tart is ready to go, we're going to pop that in the oven for about 25 to 35 minutes. So it's just come out the oven, and don't worry, I know we had a bit of spillage in there, but that's due to either too much Frangipane mix, and you can half the recipe, or you can get a deeper tart tray. And in addition, it took about 50 minutes to an hour instead of 25 to 35 minutes due to it being quite a bit of mix. But don't worry about this, we're going to let this cool down and trim the edges, and it's going to be looking proper tart. And as you can see already, just by letting it cool down and doing a little bit of trimming, it's already looking quite presentable. So don't worry if yours spills over a little bit. So there we go, with a little bit of patience and allowing it to cool down, we've actually got it out and it's looking a lot more presentable now, and looking pretty damn fantastic. And just to give it that finishing touch, we're just going to add a little touch of icing sugar, or powdered sugar if you want to call it that. So there it is, folks, our peach almond tart, and it's come out an absolute belter. So we had the crispy sweet pastry, the peach jam, followed by the Frangipane mix, peaches over the top roasted. Oh my goodness me. You gotta give this a go, you will not be disappointed. So due to me cutting out a lot of unhealthy things out of my diet, I am not trying this today, but we will do a cross section for you, just so you can have a little goosey ganders. So we'll take a little cheeky slice out. As I said, it's very delicate still needs a little touch cooling down, but this is gonna be absolutely beautiful. Oh my goodness me. Look at that little diamond right there. the jam, Frangipane, and to match this up perfectly, just as it's nice and warm, either some vanilla ice cream, or you could go with some vanilla custard. Either way, it's going to be an absolute dream. And there we have it, folks, another episode done for you. That peach almond tart. Oh my goodness me, it's an absolute little dream. So if you want to try out this tart, the list of ingredients will be below in the description box as per usual. So we won't be here next Friday, but we will be back the following Friday with some more delightful treats. In the meantime, next week we will be on Twitch Monday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, but I won't be there on Tuesday, 10 AM Mountain Time. The link is in the description box below. And also, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to give a like, dislike, and also feel free to give a comment. Always appreciated. And also don't forget to hit that sub button as well. But until next time, folks, stay safe, awesome, and amazing.